السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Masjid Carpark, episode number 5.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We hope everyone is well. How have you guys been?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
All good.
What's been happening, gentlemen? How's your week been?
I made friends with a pigeon. Something interesting to talk about.
You made friends with a pigeon.
Yeah. Well, initially,
Did you have him over for tea?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, this is gonna get weird now.
No.
I'm joking.
I had some spare seeds that just been sitting around the house for a long time, and I didn't know what to do with it. And obviously, I didn't want to just make a sraaf and throw it away.
Seeds?
Yeah, just seeds. I used to put them in my what's it called?
Cereal?
No, not cereal.
Smoothie?
That's the one. Can't believe I forgot the word smoothie.
Bro, I can't believe how healthy you are, mashallah.
No, that was maybe about 2-3 weeks ago. So I need to get back onto that. But yeah. Anyway, so I used to put these seeds in my smoothie, and then just didn't like the taste. So I thought, why don't I just feed the pigeons or the birds? So I started feeding these birds. And initially, these
Wait, don't you live on a flat?
I live on a balcony, so I just threw on the balcony, and then birds.
So you've got a balcony?
Yeah.
You don't live in a balcony.
I don't live on the balcony.
Okay, somebody else's balcony. Is that why the police keep turning up?
It's a squatter.
No, it's my home, and I have a balcony. Anyway, so I've been feeding these birds, and this pigeon would come and just bully all the other birds away, right? And initially, I just did not like this pigeon. So I used to just I used to just scare it off, and then but this pigeon was persistent. Just
How many birds came?
probably 4 or 5 different types of birds as well, parrots and whatnot.
All those women that asked for Lata's hand in marriage, persistence was the key. But it's too late now.
I'm taken, alhamdulillah, and I'm happy.
Alhamdulillah.
Anyway, so yeah, so feeding these pigeons and these birds, one pigeon just kept scaring all of them away. And I didn't like that pigeon initially, just kept on, shooing it off so I could feed the other ones because I felt like the other ones are a bit smaller. This pigeon looked a bit,
More well fed?
Yeah.
Because it keeps bashing the other pigeons?
Yeah, pretty much. And then I just grew to like this pigeon.
Bro, what are you doing? You're taking the side of a bully.
I don't know, man. This pigeon was pretty loyal. So like whenever it ate and I would be outside, it wouldn't fly away. And it'd get really close to me. And then eventually it started to like greet me.
Here we go.
Yeah, it would make those pigeon sounds when I would open the door. Honestly, this thing
Ladies
used
and
to
gentlemen,
greet
we
me.
have the pigeon whisperer right here.
Yeah, and
Did you sing to it?
this is when I thought, okay, now me and this pigeon are friends. So I prayed Fajr, and then
He did
And
a
then-
son.
The pigeon did that.
yes, the pigeon did that now. But after praying Fajr, I saw the pigeon fly into the window, and I thought, it's a bit too early to feed you now. Did my thing, and then I went back to sleep. And then it was knocking on the balcony window, so it woke up.
bro.
It woke up my wife, and my wife is like, "What's that tapping?" She opens the door, and there's the pigeon just sitting there.
Where's me
Yeah.
mate? Can he
Where's-
come out? Can Lata
Yeah.
come out to play?
I think he was more waiting for the food than concerned about me. But still, the fact that this thing knew, subhanallah, like give me my food, and my wife fed it, didn't fly away, and now we've got this regular thing, and it comes periodically. So it appears after Fajr, then midday, and then just before. So at Maghrib.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Even the pigeons practicing COVID things, take away food.
Yeah. But safe to say that we're pals now.
Well, mashallah. All right, what happened with my ward? In my ward, okay, I had a car accident last week. Doing a U-turn on good old Sydney Road, and this guy came out of nowhere. Bang. Brother, what are you doing? I was just like, okay.
It's a brother.
Yeah, man. all of his mates turned up. And I was just like, okay, I can't deal with this. I just said, here's my driver's license details. Give me yours. The missus came and picked up the kids. And then I called Akers, Brother Akram, just to come down and give me some moral support. He rode down, mashallah, as he does on his bike. And he just kicked back with me for a bit and then I drove home. So apart from that, nothing exciting, and I've got a sore wrist from the accident. What about yourself, Shaykh
How's
Khalid?
the car? Right off?
The car's currently at the panel beaters. I don't know yet.
Okay.
So they haven't called me yet. It's been there for 2 days, so I've got no idea. Like, just one of those weeks. But alhamdulillah, I'm thinking to myself that something so big happened, and as Muslims, we believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does something to us to stop something else from happening. Something big, something greater might have been coming.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm just thinking to myself, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save me from, mashallah? So it's all right.
Alhamdulillah.
It's life. What about you, Maulana Khalid? Talk to me, Sheikh.
It's a couple of nikahs this week, and alhamdulillah, because the people are saved, because of COVID, there's maybe a surplus of nikahs because people were in COVID for so long, so people couldn't get married or But anyway, a couple of there's some discussions in the community about how much celebrants are allowed to charge, and I had a look online. The average is about 300 to 1,500. So some people are questioning, are you imams or ulama? Let's not call them alims or ulama. Look, celebrants.
Yep.
Are they allowed to charge a lot of amount? Yeah, you're allowed to charge. Actually, in fiqh books, if you look at any transactional goods or services that you're buying, what's the rate that you're allowed to charge? You're not allowed to charge double what the market rate is, right? Like that's exorbitant profits, right? You're ripping the person off.
Yeah, but
at what point is the person being ripped off?
But what if you're like a superstar celebrant?
Yeah, that's average 300. There's even 10, 15,000 famous people that do. They're celebrants and they're famous.
How do I become a celebrant?
Yeah,
right.
So
3 marriages a week, I'm set.
Yeah, I mean, look.
10 grand each.
What the point being is, what's the permissible? And the reason, there's some discussion going on. The reason I explained it, is you have to look at what's the general in this society. What's considered the norm, and why is that the norm? Now, because we're Muslims, our wedding's supposed to be nikah, supposed to be simple, but that is not a representative of generally how people spend, like caterers, flower arrangements, camera people. One of the weddings was in the mosque. It was a bit weird. There was 5 cameras. Cameramen came. There's 4 or 5 camera people. If you're hiring those people, then they're going to do all the editing, everything.
What, with video cameras or just normal cameras?
Yeah, video cameras, proper professional cameras. And then there's the 20 wedding people, the attendees, they all got their cameras out as well for some reason.
And whereabouts did you fit into this?
Huh?
Have you got main stage presence?
No. It's just you're doing the nikah khutbah and so forth. They're doing their thing. But I do all my nikahs in the masjid. I don't go anywhere or any parks or other romantic venues, and I just do it in the masjid, and people behave themselves, and alhamdulillah, But the thing was that it's people questioning how much you're allowed to charge. Well, if you don't want to go according to the market, there's other celebrants. Go to another one that's maybe cheaper, more according to your budget, or just go to the office to register. Be it births, deaths, and marriages, go to the office. But the thing is that people are questioning whether how much you can charge. Well, you don't have to go with this person, go with another person. That's how the free market works.
But I have a problem with that.
What's that?
With the people questioning how much you're allowed to charge.
No
problem, but the actual guy questioning.
I think the people assume that, yes, that problem is that when people question, the reason why they're questioning is that the imam shouldn't make a lot of money. Should be
but that's my problem.
This is part of the problem. He shouldn't be rich.
You're happy to pay 5 grand, 3 grand, 20 grand, 100 grand for a dress. You're happy to pay $10,000 for dinner. You're happy to pay, $1,000 to rent a car for a couple of hours that you're never going to drive again and you wish you had. But if an imam and alim, someone that has gone through the work of actually
listen. Even if he's not an alim, he's just a normal Muslim and he becomes a marriage celebrant.
Yeah, but he's got to go through a process to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's say it's a very simple process and you register as a wedding celebrant and you do a nikah. So the thing is that what's the acceptable rate in the community, in the general strain, the society that we live in? It's about 300 to 1,500. That's average. right? Somebody might charge a little bit less.
Yeah.
Somebody might charge even more than that. That's general average. It's expected. And if that's the market rate, then if you don't want to pay that much, go to somebody else.
Well, we live in a free market. We are
Exactly.
in a market where it's all about, okay, what you're worth, your skills.
Maybe
are
there's
worth.
short supply of
You
shares.
charge
You
that.
know? It's a marriage celebrant, Muslim marriage, there's short supply. You know?
Okay, Lata.
Yeah.
We got a new career.
maybe there's
Yeah,
a.
career idea.
There-
What do
there's
you
a
call
new
them?
career idea.
What do you call them when the people collude together to fix the market rate? You know,
Oh, okay.
not a cartel, but a.
What is it? Collusion, yeah.
No, there's a word for it. When people they control, not monopolize, but they control the market prices. That's not obviously happening. So people can be competitive.
So which group do I join to control these prices, Sheikh?
What do you mean?
I'm bringing them up to $5,000. Forget about the 300.
Nobody's gonna hire for that much. You're not worth that much.
You need to
Sorry.
first get a monopoly of all the sheikhs, and then get them to think in one way
Yeah.
and be like, well, we're charging this.
Anyway, we had a couple of.
I can't believe this is even an issue in the community.
No, because a lot of Muslims are not rich, and they get a bit of shock. I think they initially get a shock at how much the fees are.
Yeah.
All right, and I think the shock is emphasized by the fact that it's coming from the Imam's mouth. And I think the Imam should not be talking about money. He should only be,
But we get that a lot.
He should just drink water and
Yeah.
live off air.
I hear that
That's
a lot. And the thing is, why is it? Look, I'm not an Imam. I've got no vested interest. I'm not going to make any money out of this. But why is it that everyone else is allowed to go hard on their business, go crazy, do whatever? But when a sheikh or an
No,
imam
it's
or a
understandable, but people have to look at realities of life. People judge. There's a
Why
different
is that
standard.
understandable?
There's a different standard. Ulama, even in Islamically, they are judged because they're representative. They're seen as representative of Deen, and Deen is not about dunya,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So when the dunya element comes into it, right? So there was one masjid that offered for one imam somewhere, offered like $20 or $30. Or no, the best one was the one that masjid offered for a day for leading 2-3 salats, right? Because that person is praying in the mosque anyway. Well, we'll just make you an imam and we'll pay, because you're coming for 10 minutes each salat anyway, and you're praying, you're regular there praying. So we'll pay a little bit, Or there's a masjid in Australia somewhere, and they offered the imam, look, you only work for 2 hours. So, we'll pay you for 2 hours work a day, So the thing is that while the guy's
How much-
driving,
how
the
much are
guy's
they
driving
gonna pay
probably
me?
$100,000 car and so forth. So they expect, if you have, although I'm not imam, because I'm imam, so I consider it a religious duty
Yep.
above everything else. But why is it that, should we be taking, there's some study done, I think somebody a survey in the US or UK, how much imam should be paid. People, they were saying US $100,000. Because all the different jobs. There's most Muslims were thinking they know that these committees and mosques they should pay.
Well, this guy is the leader of the community, right?
But there's look, that's for me that's a bit rich, but it's
100K?
The problem, the issue,
Aren't you on like 200?
yeah. I'll quit after the first year. No, astaghfirullah. No, look, it's something that there's a perception in the Muslims that they should live off air, and should fear Allah, and this is about deen and akhirah. No, but then you should. So
guy's gotta pay his
so
bills.
people ask how much should imam pay. My personal view is, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, indeed I was sent as a muallim, as a teacher.
Yeah.
So on par with, depending on experience, time, the imam to be paid by according to what a teacher's salary, maybe like a secondary school teacher salary. That is reasonable. You can live off that. You can live off that. It's reasonable. Inshallah. That's my opinion. Others might have different
this is
opinions.
where the problem is,
and if
right?
other imams, some masjids pay much more than that. There are masjids in Australia that do fulfill above and beyond the haqq of imams and pay them and take care of them properly. Yeah.
Okay, here's a question. You said secondary school teacher salary. Do we think in Australia teachers get paid enough? I don't.
How much you
Think about,
how
I
much?
don't know, but think about the job that they do.
No,
Especially
they
after
paid somewhere
COVID.
between 50 to 80,000.
50 to 80,000. Say you're 50K.
And then as your responsibilities increases and your experience increases, and if you take coordinating roles and so forth. So if you're taking if you're an imam and you're taking responsive education programs, so forth, then they should try to be, this is my personal view, is if a person wants to be rich, go do something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a. This is not a. I don't. This is my personal view. Other imams, ulama might disagree.
All right.
But
Cancel that.
if you want to become rich, go do find something else to do. Find some other dunya job or something where, at least if your needs are met. It's one of the great ulama of the early 20th century. He said something amazing. He said, if you're working in a madrasa and your needs are met, because that's the level that ulama always operate at, right?
Yeah.
If you're surviving. If your needs are met and then you get another job in another madrasa where they pay you more,
Yeah.
and you leave this madrasa even though your needs are met here and you go to that. So, sorry, I butchered it a little bit, but the sheikh, the one alim came, he said he took a teaching position. He's getting paid like all teachers and ulama and imam. He said, I feel like I'm selling I'm selling my deen. Like I'm become a person of dunya, right? I've corrupted my deen by taking a wage for imamat or teaching. He said, that's not selling your deen. Selling your deen is when you work in a madrasa and your needs are met for the salary there. Another madrasa offers a job which has more salary and you leave this one for that. Then you're selling your deen.
Yeah.
What if the other madrasa is more prestigious, or in terms of there's a lot more things that go on work of deen, so naturally they
Yeah, that's a different reason. That's not the reason. The reason, if you go there just for the money,
Okay.
what I'm pointing that from a this is Mawlana Ashraf Ali Thani Rahman, great alim of the early 20th century. This was his advice to that particular alim. But it's something to take note. The works of deen, you're not there for the dunya itself. You're not getting paid for your work. You're getting paid for your time, right? You're getting paid for the time that you can't do any dunya, otherworldly job. If like based on your education, what job can you do, right?
Yeah.
Like so if the alim's got a certain, he could work somewhere else. How much would he get? So this is basically a compensation because he can't. So it's not payment for his job for imamat or as an alim to teach hadith or in a madrasa. Or this is a compensation for his time. Because if he was to give his time there, then so many alims are there, young alims are there, very good, capable alims, but they gone to like worldly jobs, perfectly permissible. But all their time is used there, so all their talent and ilm and everything is now none of it's of not benefit to anybody.
Yeah.
Maybe to themselves, but definitely not to the ummah because they're doing some other job, maybe a professional job, maybe a trade or something. It's fine, it's halal, but your talent disappears and it's only used in dunya now. It doesn't benefit the ummah.
Yeah.
So like there is a cost. So imams' life was much easier in the past, where people could just take up a trade. So they would have a business, there'd be merchants, they would sell some goods, import, export, like sell goods, and those goods would be, then they would give their time. And Imam Ibn Jawzi, rahmallah, nearly 1,000 years ago, he gave advice to ulama to take a trade up so that you're not dependent on people, so you can speak the haqq. Like, so because if you're dependent, like you take your job in a madrasa and they're paying you, some rich person's in charge, and like in schools and so forth, this happens in Australia as well. Like we don't see schools as like that's the rich man.
Yeah.
Because he's giving you a guaranteed salary and so forth. So then you have to toe the line. Even if something goes wrong against Sharia, the alim will keep quiet.
But will they though? If something
because
goes
your job's
against
no, but
Sharia?
it's just your job's on the line. How many people will actually go against their boss? You see?
Not a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. This is generally how you don't bite the hand that feeds you. That's how the world works.
But you brought into this deen and Sharia. So if that's on the line, you're going to stay quiet?
If your livelihood depends on it, some people might, because that pressure might be too much. You don't know what this person's circumstance. Yeah, he could be in debt, he could be in thing, and then for him to speak up might lose his job. So that's why Imam Jawzi says you shouldn't put yourself in that position in the first place. What you should do is make yourself independent by having a trade or something else, another source of income. So when any issue happens, you can speak the haqq and speak up and tell the truth. So these business people or these people running these organizations, or in our case, if there's organizations, because I put them in the same category as rich people, right, in the past. So they control the levers of you, they control your career path or your future. Then you can speak truth to them. When something is out of line, you can say it firmly, this is wrong, and you can raise your voice, right? And if you lose your job, all right, you got an out,
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, then that's your only livelihood. How it's not easy.
But so the thing is, on that stage, so young people, when you have, say, young ulama graduating, what avenues are there for them? Like what sort of
Like, what can they do?
Yeah, what can they do? Or what sort of development has happened for them?
Not much.
So that they
In
walk
Australia,
out
it's
into
not
the
very.
world. So they walk out into the world, and they can survive, and they've got that responsibility. Because we've got ulama graduating as teenagers at the moment, haven't we?
There's only 1 or 2 places alims are graduating in there. Yeah, early 20s or late. About 20.
Actually, not just ulama. What about teenagers in general? Let's open it up. Teenagers in general. Do we think they have that that responsibility, or when they go out into the world, where do you think they stand? Have a look at international students, for example. You got like 17-year-old kids. Well, I met 16-year-old international student I've met once. Comes over, gets a job, doing everything. Do you think our kids are at that stage?
No, they won't.
No.
They can't, because they're coming. Those, like, as an example, you see like Indian, Pakistani students, from the subcontinent. A lot of them come here to study, right? Muslims and non-Muslims, and their parents send them at the age of 17, 18, right? And these guys like work their butts off, pay their fees, work for their fees.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Right,
man.
you got Australian student, because some fatwa came. There was a fatwa, and that you can't take hex because hex is, it's an interest bearing transaction after 1 year. They call it CPI indexation, but so they said, now the sheikhs are against. Someone said, against education as well, right? So they're making education hard. But then how come is the foreign students? They come, work their butts off, pay their fees, get the education,
While paying for their rent and
and
food
living and
electricity.
figuring it out, and so they do it. They do all these dirty jobs like cleaning trams, and they're driving whatever. They working their butts off,
non-stop, man.
yeah. And like when they want to, because when money runs out, we work, and we put studies to the side. And when studies, like the pressure comes of exams and so forth, then we put our work to the side. So they do this like like even whether it be young alims or even our young people, I think those guys have been chucked in the deep end. Those are foreign students.
Yep.
So they grow up very quickly. Within that 1 year or few months, they get used to it.
Sink or swim.
Our kids, they never get that experience. Number one.
Well, they have a certain luxury though. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
being here, living under their parents' roof, not paying rent.
That does actually
Yeah.
make you chill out a lot.
Yeah. No pressure. No hustle in their life. There's no hardship. There's no hardship, and because there's no hardship, then they can't. I think that's a big thing that develops a person, is hardship and financial pressure.
Well, I'm thinking back to uni when I first went to Tassie. I like $200 to my name when I slept under my car.
Under the car?
It sounds so weird. I know the car was full of stuff because mum packed heaps of stuff when I
How
moved.
do you sleep under the car? Do you mean in the car?
No. You get in your sleeping bag, and what you do. So what happened was.
What sort of car was it?
No, it's an old school 67 Corona. God, I miss it. Right, I love that car. So anyway, I turned up to Launceston, and I was like, I had $200 to my name.
Yeah.
Literally. And I was like, yeah, I'm cool. Mum's asking, like, before I left from Adelaide, what do you need? I'm like, it's all under control. Right? I'm thinking to my mind, yeah, I'll just turn up. You should be right, mate. And I turned up, go to the caravan park, and I'm like, all right, I'll get myself a nice caravan, yada, yada. And I've never been exposed to anything about living on my own.
You're just like, I got this.
Yeah, the guy looks at me and goes, all right, mate, that'll be $35 a night or something. I go, for what? He goes, do you want a caravan? I go, what's your cheapest? He goes, well, $7 a night, I can give you an unpowered site. I'm like, done. And I had all my army gear with me as well, so the sleeping bag and all that stuff. So I was sleeping next to my car because the car was just packed full of stuff. I couldn't take it out and just leave it in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be all right. I'll manage this. And then it starts raining. I was that tired. I just remember feeling the drops on my face. I turned my head to the left. I'm like, I reckon I could squeeze under there. And I literally, I'm not joking, I literally slid myself under, but I had to have my head facing sideways because as soon as I put my head up, my nose was touching the bottom of that car.
Whoa.
So sink or
That's
swim.
rough,
And then the
man.
very next day I went in, I got a job somewhere, like from experience that I've had
That would
in the
have built
past.
up some resilience.
Bro, it was phenomenal.
Mashallah.
And the fact that I forgot all about that. And then after that, later on, after certain things happened, I did live under the comfort of my parents. And yeah, I was chilling, man. This was much later on. Food, cooking, no, everything. And I did chill out a lot. And I remember back then when I had that, when you're in the deep end, you go harder.
It's hard to artificially create that. That's the thing. You can't create like a role play hardship.
Yeah.
You know, you got these famous people at the moment like dressing up in Auschwitz.
That's just wrong.
It's 100% wrong.
That's
There's a
wrong on
whole
so many
TikTok thing
levels.
about it. So
It's-
people pretending like trying to act out hardships and whatever, but those who've gone through it, they've gone through it, and you can maybe learn from the experiences. But if you're just ghafil and like you're just a normal kid, you know, in Australia,
Yeah.
you just, you know, like Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Shabab min shu'abat al-junun," youth is a part of madness, right? So
SubhanAllah.
it's just like you're totally, you know,
My son was telling me about one of his mates who gets upset and it's like the end of the world. He was sitting with his friends, and one of his friends who's so we're all Australian, but he's like white Australian, and he's come to school, and you know my son's ethnic and he's got Arab friends and all that, and he's like, oh, I can't believe my mum and dad, and they're like, what happened? Did you get bashed? Right? He's like, no, they sent me to my room. I was grounded all weekend. And they're like, so what did you do in your room? He's like, I played PlayStation and the iPad.
Poor guy.
I was like,
Poor guy.
what a punishment. I looked at my son, I go, dude, you do that every weekend anyway. And he goes, what did you guys do? He goes, we just cracked up laughing. Going, you need to come to our house to see what punishment is.
yeah, they creating resilience in kids, and that's
But I think that starts from when they're young, from a young age. So we're not, you know, we have the term helicopter parents or, you know, hands-on parenting.
But there is a reason why in our culture helicopter parents and overbearing our generation, like parents are overprotective, is a lot of it's to do with in the 80s, 90s. There's all these kidnappings and so forth that happened.
Yeah.
Died like, from what I hear, people in the 60s, 70s, like they didn't grow up like that. They were like street kids almost. They went out and whatever.
But we were as well in the 80s.
Yeah, but you know, that became less and less and less over the last. So by the time we're parents, we're used to a culture where you are protective of your kids.
Because of everything that
All
can
these
go wrong.
sexual
drugs.
abuse things, and there's a lot of other things that have come into the scene that's affected that, and that's why. So we are overprotective even when like into their adulthood, like they're 17, 18, they're adults, Islamically adults.
35.
You know, yeah, we
30.
still.
Did you just say
Yeah.
35?
Yeah,
30. Right. it's all-
micromanaging their life and overprotecting them, and then when they hit reality, like actual work,
Yeah.
whether it be physical or whether it be taking orders from a boss, you know, that's why they say they're the worst generation. The millennials are now the worst generation as employees.
Yeah.
But that's part of the previous generation. They stuffed up the economy for this generation.
Well, the millennials can't buy a house.
Yeah, and it's not the millennials' fault. It's the previous
That's correct.
generation.
With the
They
environment.
rorted the system like to the point of where no one can afford anything now.
And they can, but the thing is, they continue to rot the system.
And they're
Maybe
still
the baby
because they
boomers.
got all the assets, right?
Yeah, the baby
And then
boomers.
they're saying just pull up your bootstraps or whatever it is, or get to it. You know,
Tighten
like
your
I
belts.
did it. It was hard. No. Someone did. I read something that yesterday. Someone sent a tweet that if you project back, like our living expenses now, he goes, these guys, because our parents' generation, that like, you know, is talking about more the United States, they were buying a house for, if you take all the inflation and everything into all the factors, they were buying houses for like 120,000 equivalent of today.
Wow.
Imagine you're trying to buy a house, 120,000, nothing. That's like within reach for everybody.
Yeah.
So they've really, anyway, leaving that aside, so the world that our kids are coming into, I told my son this, he's 17. I said, look, the world that you're coming into, like the blue, like when we were younger, like 20 years ago or so,
Speak for
it
yourself.
started to, you can start to see, you know, those contract jobs, what do you call them, casual job came in.
Yeah, yeah.
That wasn't there before. Like you can be a casual permanently, permanent casuals. Like there's all these weird ways. Now they call it the gig economy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For professional, like people are being hired, but basically just a way to rot young people.
Yeah.
Like they have to work for like little projects and on apps and things like that. Like
Yeah.
they hire you for a little job. If you look at even the way Uber works and the way they hire their drivers and stuff, everything is geared towards maximizing the
Revenue.
benefit, revenue, and sucking the employee. They suck with love. They suck. You know,
Yes.
they put it on an app, make it look like a video game, but they're just sucking the blood out of the young people. So the next generation that's coming into the market, like into the workplace, they got it very hard.
Yeah.
Like we're
So
still
how do we
scraping
teach
through.
them
We're still
resilience?
scraping through. We're still sort of,
Yeah.
you know, but they really are they're going to be struggling. And acquiring assets of any sort is going to be very, very hard for.
Unless you invest in Bitcoin.
That's
That was
already
just a
too
random
late.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear that every 2-3 years. We should have invested a year ago. We should have invested a year ago.
50 grand now, 40 grand.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah.
So how do we teach these guys, what do we do? How do we teach them life skills?
What's the answer for them?
What is the answer?
Yeah. I think there are a lot of self-help things, but I think developing yourself, I think we have to separate career and money and markets and things separate, as developing a resilient human being who can go and be patient. And I think Islam gives all of those answers for that. Like a responsible person,
Yeah.
you know, that if they're given responsibility, they should grab the responsibility. I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing. Teach them how to take responsibility, grab responsibility, fulfill it, and deliver more than what the responsibility asks. I think that's, if you put that at the top of the list, and under that comes deen, it comes dunya, it comes many things, taking care of family. But I think if you can summarize into one thing, I would say is teach them to become responsible and not just waste their life. I mean, responsible with themselves, with their health, with their wealth, with their people around them, you know, that you are kullukum mas'ul. Every one of you is responsible. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. And you'll be asked, meaning responsible, mas'ul in Arabic, exactly like in English, responsible. You have to provide a response.
Yeah.
So once they understand that they are responsible for everything around them, themselves included, then I think that's where we should maybe focus our energies and prepare them for realities. These new, I think even some Islamic schools and other things, they're doing these things of giving participation trophies, and that's not how life works. That you participate, there's winners and losers.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even my son makes fun of it.
Yeah, there's winners and losers, you know.
I just got that for being part of it.
And
Well, to be a winner, there has to be a loser.
yeah, so like you gotta be competitive. Rasulullah taught the Sahaba, even in Deen, we're expected to compete.
Yeah.
And Sahaba had that in them. Even for Akhirah, they were competitive. So that's part of our nature in business, in dunya. Sharia has put limitations, how you become successful.
Yeah.
But basically, you know, the world is your oyster, you know, go for it. You know, but also they have to be prepared for disappointment. It's life, you know.
Yeah,
life is
yeah.
not.
Yeah, kids aren't used to disappointment
Yeah.
or not getting their way. That's why you get so many tantrums.
Yeah, exactly. So there's plenty of videos online to, you know, of entitlement, sense of entitlement. You got to get rid of that sense of entitlement, which comes through giving give them small responsibility, build them up. You know, I was telling my students this week, like Usama bin Zayd radiallahu anhu, I might have mentioned this before, that he was 16 years old. He's made a commander of an army by Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would never give a position unless the person was fit for it, because that's what the Deen teaches. 16 years old, is a commander of an army. In that army is Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, another great senior Sahaba.
Subhanallah.
But what it means, the commander, I was telling my students, 16 years old, you're responsible for the lives of the men under your command.
Yeah.
Their wives become widows, their children become orphans, and because you
on your
stuffed
head.
up, it's on. That's what it means.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's a general. He can take that responsibility, that pressure. That's what a 16-year-old is. I said, you guys I told them, I said, grow up quickly. Stop acting like kids. Like I just say, just stop being irresponsible and stop acting like kids.
You are 5 years old now. Go get a job.
They're they're teenagers. I said, you're in Islam. You're not. There's no such thing as like you're adolescent, teenager. There's no such thing in Islam.
Yeah.
You're baligh in Islam. You're a man. You're responsible for everything.
Yeah.
For yourself. But anyway, that's just between me and my students. That and I told the brother,
And anyone else that's listening right now.
inshallah.
Say, Subhanallah.
Alhamdulillah. Anyway, I think that's in a nutshell. I think that's my advice is. I don't know. It's a tough one because the world is changing. Even though those of us who are raised here, the world that our kids are growing up in is very different to when we, like in the 90s or 80s, that grew up. It's very different.
This podcast is brought to you by Australasian Home Developments. osthomes.com.au. Whether you want to build a new home, renovate, extend, or you have a heritage restoration or multi-unit development, Australasian Home Developments will be there every step of the way. They are Melbourne's premier end-to-end construction company for homeowners, investors and developers. With all the government incentives available, what better time than the present to move into your own home? Sounds daunting, and sometimes we can even put it in the too hard basket. It's only hard if you don't know what you're doing. That's where Australasian Home Developments come to the fore. They will simplify everything from designing your home to helping you in choosing the colour of your curtains if you need it. Give them a call on 1300 661 284. That's 1300 661 284, or go to osthomes.com.au. You can also find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
In regards to responsibility and teaching responsibility and to be serious, I think we got a specific problem in the West because we live in extreme luxury. Like we actually are extremely comfortable, and even politically we were very comfortable, right?
Financially.
Sorry?
Financially.
Yeah, I mean, alhamdulillah, no one really goes hungry in this country generally.
Yeah.
There are institutions to take care of people that are in hardship, etc., etc. And if you look at the Muslim countries or where Muslims living, whether you look in China, with people going through hardship, like the so-called third world countries,
Real
and
hardship.
a lot of them are Muslim countries, but even countries that are not Muslim. Yeah, so if you look at like even Muslims like in Sri Lanka and what the Buddhists, the right-wing extreme Buddhists they've imported from Burma, that what they were doing to the Rohingya and other Muslims in Burma, they've imported that into Sri Lanka. And subhanAllah, like every year there's something. I mean, 2 years ago was that one guy that did a killing of the Christians. It was a Muslim guy. And unfortunately, and that made it very bad created a very bad security situation for the Muslims there. And they took it out, like niqab was banned and all these sort of things, that happened last year or 2 years ago. But now what they've done is like any little thing, like they take it out on the Muslims, because they use the weak one. And usually, a country by how they treat the minorities, how they treat the weaker one in their society. You're judged by that. And so the Muslims, of course, being a minority, about 10%. So, of course, the majority then, and the Muslims are also a very large population of them, I think, are Tamils, which is also, there's a war between Tamils, not Muslims, non-Muslim
and
Tamils.
local Sinhalese.
So Sinhalese is like the main group, and then they're fighting the Tamils. And so the Muslims are like sort of affiliated with that, even though they're not maybe a part of the Tamil Tigers and all that sort of stuff. So then, they're a punching bag. They can just take it out on them. And so what happened now, like in the last, because of this COVID thing, they've decided that they're going to cremate all the bodies, but also Muslims as well by force. And all the World Health Organization, all the world bodies saying this is against human rights. There is no proof that by burning it is more health. If you bury the body, it's the same as if you burn it.
No, it's definitely a direct target at Muslims.
Yeah, to break them.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying is, well, this is the way it is. And what they're doing as well is anyone that gets sick, whether it's COVID or not, especially if they're Muslim, as soon as they go to a doctor, COVID's put on there. Even if they're old, and directly straight away going for crematoriums. Now, when they cremate these bodies, they're actually asking them to pay up to 48,000 rupees just for that.
Oh, then their families have to pay for it as well.
So families are now...
So compulsory cremating them.
Yep.
And then making them pay for it.
Yep, so a lot of families now, because they're poor, right? They live just above the poverty line. They're not even going to claim the bodies anymore. So, and it is a direct target. They reached out to Maldives. The president of Maldives, he's like, Maldives, we might accept them. So there's this talk going on. But again, human rights organizations are saying you're going to marginalize Muslims in their own country.
Yeah, because they're Sri Lankans. They've been there like for 1,000 years.
And now you're saying to people during life, you're not a part of us. And to prove how much you're not a part of us, even after you're dead, you got to go somewhere else to be buried. Imagine the precedent that sets.
Yeah. Yeah, COVID's shown a lot of fault lines.
Yeah, man.
Religious fault lines and system breakdowns. Like, do you see in Egypt? Someone just sent it before us, some message. The oxygen failed in the hospital. The whole COVID ward died.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi.
Yeah, just someone sent it today. Like the oxygen, whatever was the system they had, failed. So all the, bad...
guys on respirators.
Bad situation that's already the medical situation that's already in these countries. All the fault lines and corruptions and everything at every turn shows up. All the hate comes out. The blame comes out. Like in India, they did, they blamed a certain group for...
They called it COVID jihad.
Yeah. So that all comes out. Hardship, back to what we were saying originally about hardship, will show the real colors of a person and the people as well.
What happens when the going gets tough.
Exactly. So like in the US, things are getting tough. And so, you can see the colors of the people coming out when there's no good healthcare, there's no good support from the government, their businesses are failing. Now, where's the akhlaq? You know, people say, oh, the akhlaq of the non-Muslims in the West is amazing. Yeah, you haven't seen them in hardship. Wait till we don't know in Australia how people will be. Like, because we have not seen extreme hardship in this country. So that's something, Allah help the Muslims around the world, and especially in these poorer countries, you know, it's not just COVID. Like one of my relatives was speaking to somebody in Pakistan. They don't even believe, astaghfirullah, they don't believe it's not corona. It's just.
They don't believe in the coronavirus?
Yeah, it's just people dying of heart attacks. Actually, they reckon it's a government conspiracy, you know, so. Yeah, people are dying. They say it's just heart attacks. They're all just dying of heart attacks. Like,
what
they're dying of heart.
Videos have they been watching?
No videos. Just suspicion of government, and you know. So anyway, this is the type of things that go on in Muslim countries. Unfortunately,
going back to what we're talking about,
it compounds the difficulties of their lives further.
It's crazy times that our children are coming into, isn't it? Compared to what we had and what our parents had, it was quite simple, quite relatively easy, but the world that our children are coming into, or even the Australia that our children are coming into, is quite interesting in terms of political correctness, far right, far left, who's at the centre anymore. We've got that recent Board of Imams petition regarding regarding the conversion and suppression bill. So. Even for us, if somebody comes and says to me or to us, especially you as being an Imam, Shaykh Khalid, in a position of, I suppose, authority, if somebody turns up and they says, listen, I'm gay, or I'm lesbian, or I'm one of the letters, right? LGB.
So before we continue with that, Imam doesn't have much authority. One of the Imams used to give a khutbah, the same khutbah, like for 20 years. The guy said, Sheikh, you give the same khutbah. He goes, yeah, well, when you practice the first khutbah that I've done, then I'll give a second khutbah, a different khutbah. But anyway, more in, because you do like a counseling or chaplaincy, or that type of what's the word for it, where you take care of the community and so forth. Like people come to you and they seek advice on personal matters. It makes it challenging, but at the end of the day, as a Muslim, if we teach or say that in Islam it's haram, it is haram. There's nothing's going to change that, and that it's offensive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as per the Quran and Hadith and so forth. That's what Islam said. You go online, you find that's what the Quran says. So we can't change that, no matter who says it and how says it. And
this conversion, I don't know of any Muslim organizations that have been doing.
I don't think so.
Conversion therapy, and I've never even
What is that though?
No, it's a specific Christian church programs that they have to
pray the gay away.
It's not just praying; it's actually specific counselling. They put them through a whole program. It's like a set program. Yeah. So as far as I know, in Australia, I don't think Muslims have that. Maybe on a private basis, a sheikh is advising an individual. Yeah. But other than that, I don't think I don't know anybody.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I've never dealt with anybody like that. So, being Imam for many years, those people don't come. I don't think they come to seek approval from the Imam or to they sort of deal it with themselves. People nowadays just go online. But if somebody came to me and ask me the question, what does Islam say? This puts it in a condition, can you help the person? And that's the issue. You can't. Based on this law, this is a problematic law. So the petition is made.
Yeah, but then even that premise of can you help the person is an issue. It's not about helping. Can you advise the person?
Yeah,
because they don't need help according to the law.
Yeah, so you can't even advise. I mean, that's like an extreme position. This is an extreme left position. It's an extreme position they've taken in in dealing with this. It's not right. So the petition the Board of Imams of Victoria set up is basically to deal with this. Like is to express our displeasure at this. And I think that's as far as it's going to probably go. Same thing with the same-sex marriage. All the liberals and the Liberal Party and members of the Liberal Party and the right and the churches and went full on. And my worry is that I think we register our protest, show our displeasure at it as a Muslim, and assume that it's going to pass, and then prepare our community, before and after, which is a few weeks away, that how do we deal with this?
But you can't prepare your community, isn't that what this legislation is saying?
Well, it hasn't passed yet. They can't retrospectively apply it to before that. I'm making sure I'm telling everybody it's haram as much as possible, you know. So the law hasn't passed yet. So can you say that in Islam this is haram? As far as I know, yes. Can you individually, a person who's from this community or these type of people, can he, when he comes to you, can he say to them, this is haram? As far as I understand, yes, you can say it's haram because you're saying in Islam it's haram. What that person does with it, you know, what that person does with it is their business, you know.
Yeah, I know, but
that's with every hukam because
So
everyone is personally responsible for their practices of Islam.
Okay, but if somebody comes to you and says, Sheikh, I'm addicted to alcohol. Listen, I'm an alcoholic. Alcohol is an haram in Islam.
I'll tell them to go to the...
You've got Alcoholics Anonymous. You've got all these rehab facilities.
Yep.
Now, not that I'm saying there should be that we need to have rehab facilities for somebody, you know, that's LGBTQI, and then there's a plus at the end of it now.
What's the plus for?
I have no idea. Right? So
Additions.
There's
Not
more
allowed
coming.
to come, yeah.
Okay. Right. So
All right.
So not that we're saying that, but so you can basically, all right, this is haram in Islam. If they say, yeah, I know, I understand that, but I'm struggling with this, I'm going to do some harm to myself because I'm struggling with it so much. You've got to say, listen, you need to go get psychological. You need to get some help. I can't help you.
Well,
Yeah,
isn't
the
this
self-harm-
bill saying that you can't do that anymore?
No, if somebody's self-harm, that isn't there organisation to direct them towards? Like mental health? Isn't there like
That's all you can do. But the thing is, sometimes people are just looking for a chat.
But you can't.
But you can't do that.
Yeah.
There's no more. You can't, like, how many times have all of us, I'm sure, to some extent.
My advice for the Muslim community, Allahu Alam, this is the way. So we got to assume this is going to pass. So it's going to become slightly restrictive. Someone came to me, there was some sports program in some masjid where they were having sport activities, and there's some young men were not. They would come for the sports, which is organized by the mosque, but they would not participate in salat.
Yep. That happens.
They'll come to the mosque, or they'll come to the place, the brothers, but they won't pray, right? Out of laziness, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the brother asked me what to do, like one of the brothers, the organizers. I said to him, listen, don't talk about salat to them yet. Like, don't go so direct to them. What you do is you talk about iman. Or you talk about the virtues of other actions of deen. Because the virtues, talking about the virtues or the rewards or the fada'il of amal, of deeds, what it does is actually builds your iman. So first thing is, like, that person, like, don't directly talk about that actual thing, because then you're sort of like focusing on their fault.
Yeah.
And people feel it when you talk about specifically about their fault. They become more obstinate, more stubborn. Maybe at a right place, you can mention it.
You can't mention.
No. Maybe I'm talking about salat, like the specific case, right? But what you do is you develop the iman of the person without even mentioning that thing. Why do you need to mention that thing? If the person's iman develops, they'll automatically have a hate for sins and haram.
The Masjid Carpark is a KU Studios production. KU Studios is a Madrasa Kashful Ulum initiative for the Australian Muslim community. Kashful Ulum is the only full-time non-government funded boarding madrasa down under. It relies solely on contributions from Muslims who want to be part of the development of deen within our community and our country. Please go to supportku.com to do your bit and contribute. Which is true.
So you don't have to actually deal with the actual thing directly. Give it time, and that person develop the iman. Look, you're in the masjid or you're coming to this community. You can't talk about that.
Right.
Because the Muslims will not accept you. So this is between you and, this is your sin.
You can't even say that. Can you say that?
What?
You can't talk about that.
This is between you and this is your private life. This is not something you can bring into the mosque.
Yeah, this is a community thing where we come here to pray.
Yeah. So and then while in the mosque, give durus and targheeb, like on general things of Islam. And let that person develop through that, and hopefully, inshallah, bismillah, that person will make tawbah themselves. I think that's one thing, not to directly, because if you start focusing on everybody's sins, like, is it possible that a person hears a talk about akhirah and then he leaves a sin? 100%. 100%. If a person hears a talk about the qabr, right? Can he make tawbah from that? The punishments of the qabr? Does it specify which sins? That's why Rasulullah said, increase from the remembrance of the destroyer pleasures, death. So if you are addicted to certain pleasures, or you have a inclination to certain pleasures or certain things that you think are pleasures, then if you talk about death, then is it possible that Rasulullah SAW didn't specify which pleasures?
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Right? He didn't specify the pleasures. So I think we have to prepare our community in general to understand this is happening, this is going to happen. And then post this, what do we do? So if, let's say, an imam or somebody from the community...
You're going to get someone to try and come to bait you.
No, yeah, that's another thing.
That'll definitely happen.
But if a sheikh or somebody says something against this, and the forces that be and these groups, these lobby groups for these type of people, they go after that person, what's the Muslim reaction? Muslims should go defend that person, make sure pay all their court bills.
Yeah.
Make sure that he's protected. Like, we should close ranks and defend our deen and those who uphold the deen.
Yeah.
We should not be throwing people under the bus for fulfilling the order of Allah, because they're defending our iman, our faith.
Yeah, but you're going to get a lot of people, a lot of Muslims as well, that are identifying with the far or extreme left, that will be like, well, this is this is how he feels, this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him, all of these things. So the point, what I'm trying to say is, just step back from it, and like Shaykh Khalid said, just focus on amal. Mashallah.
Yeah, but you also have to think about all the other permutations, all the other possibilities, all the other things that might occur. So Muslims, we should be looking ahead. So if somebody gets in trouble, or someone says according to them gets in trouble, in the eyes of Allah he's not in trouble, but if someone doesn't, then as a Muslim community we should be there for that person, because he's done nothing wrong before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is very important for us, that we close ranks and we make sure that we protect our deen in our future and so forth, that we don't just let these extreme left walk all over us. They used us for so many different things in votes and so forth, and now it's coming back to bite us. And as a Muslims, we take a strong stance. We take a strong stance for our own community and really close ranks and really support each other and make sure that our people know. People know that this is where Muslims stand on this issue. And hopefully, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see that, and His rida is more important than the rida of Victorian government, Australian government, anybody else. The rida is not, Allah's qabuliyat is what we're looking for. And we can't throw Allah's laws or any Muslims who upheld those laws or voice those laws under the bus. Allahu Alam. Anyway, that's... So we just should be ready, mentally ready, and make sure that the idea that we cannot decide, Allah decided already and it's revealed and it's sealed and done. Till Qiyamah, this will be haram, and there's no leeway on the haram being made halal. There's no way. No one can come and override that rule. Regardless of the circumstance and situation the Muslims are going through and the hardship that the challenges that might be faced, the haram is haram. And it's not nobody's place. No imam, no board, no jamiyat, no organization, council can overturn the law of Allah. So now how are we going to apply it? That's what we're going to do. How are we going to apply it and make sure that our community knows that it's haram? That this is one of the 7 major haram or 10 major haram acts in Islam. The kabair, the most worst of the major sins. So Muslims have to know that, and have a hate for the sin, have a hate for the sin. That is, this is displeasing to Allah, is disgusting. And, I know you can't say these things, like people say, but it's a sin before Allah. And according to Islam, this is considered something should be discouraged. But at least we can say it is haram in Islam. Fill in the gaps.
Yep.
Well, it is. So, I mean, there's really nothing else to be said in that case. Yeah. It'd be interesting to find out whether Muslim brothers that are, I guess, knowledgeable in the law, what their views are when they look at that bill.
Muslim lawyers.
Yeah, Muslim lawyers who also have some knowledge about the deen as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of lawyers that are ulama.
Yeah.
In Australia, so we can tap into it, make sure that the normative Islam is still upheld, and because they study Sharia, they study Islamic sciences, so they know what normative Islam is, and make sure that those values, Islamic values, are upheld in the legal framework that we have to operate in, the challenging. But I think the Muslims should not be scared of. We're not scared of governments. We're not scared of Victoria government, Australian government. Muslims should not be scared of governments. They're just people, group of people, and we're a group of people. That's like at the end of the day, they're just creation of Allah.
Yeah.
So I think Muslims
just another
should be a
makhluk,
little bit,
subhanallah.
we should have a spine, and we should,
It's probably a test as well. Allah's probably testing
it is a
us.
test.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a test. Yeah, yeah.
So, when in regards to this, when we talk about all of these things, the test, what about the test that the Trump supporters in the US are going through right now? What a test.
Yeah.
That
They,
storming of the
the
US
left-
Capitol building and
The way the left has asserted themselves over them
overnight.
literally overnight. They're banned off, like everybody's banned. Even the president is banned off Twitter.
Yeah.
He's lost his voice. Then he went on somebody else's account and they banned that account as well. And it's just like all the gloves have come off. I mean,
But once Joe Biden
They
got in-
cancelled Trump basically.
yeah, they cancelled
Yeah.
him. They cancelled tens of thousands.
they're on no-fly zones. The guys that actually stormed the US Capitol, their names have turned up on no-fly zones.
Fly lists.
No-fly lists. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can't actually catch a flight
Yeah, they were
within the United States.
Yeah, they were at the airport, and he goes, "You're a terrorist," and it was just. I mean, it was Muslims. We have a laugh, and but it's just watching.
Quite
all the,
scary.
It's funny
They
watching
can't
it from
travel.
the other side.
Yeah, they
For once.
can't travel. The domestic terrorists have been declared as domestic terrorists. They can't fly. The Twitter is cancelling their accounts.
Accounts cancelled.
Facebook's cancelling their accounts. They made there was an app they were on, alternative, like a right wing sort of like Twitter, Parler. Apple and Google just decided, all right, we're deleting this app. Is not in our.
So that Parler app's no longer available for them.
No, it's gone.
So
Then-
so there is
then
no
a-
communication anymore.
And then what happened? A hacker hacked Parler's databases. Everybody's on it, all their messages and everything now is dumped on the internet. So all the private groups, who organized what, who did what,
They're all exposed.
all the racists, like, because they're all there in one place. So now their whole thing has been dumped. All their geodata, like where they were sending messages from, where they live, their names, phone numbers.
That's a bit scary, man.
Yeah.
So that's all been dumped. Like that's online. There was an aeroplane. They were going back from Washington,
yeah.
and the pilot. They were chanting or something. They were being annoying to the staff, obviously, on the plane, the stewardesses. So the pilot message comes on. He goes, I will park. I think in Oklahoma or somewhere. I will stop this plane like in a city in the middle, and everybody will be kicked off the plane. You better behave yourself. Like they're like talking like little kids, But it's just funny. And what else? The military, they send a message to the military. The military offered a message, and they send a message to the military like any action Trump takes in the next week, is not to be considered. And he's about to get impeached.
Really?
He's about to get impeached again. They're voting on it now. And
Yeah, but the impeachment process, it's going to be continuing after Biden's been sworn in anyway, when he's no longer a
yeah,
president.
but he'll be the first president to achieve something that no other president has achieved, which is double impeachment.
Yeah.
So,
and impeached
Crazy.
after leaving office.
yeah, they're gonna. Now that they're in power and they're assuming all the levers of power, from every angle they're gonna go after them.
Yeah, but the thing is, he can also pardon himself before he leaves power.
No, he can't. He's looking at that, but he can't do that.
Are you sure?
Yeah. He's trying to do that and pardon his kids. He's trying to pardon his. No, but he can't do it because then you have to prove the crime first. There's no crime actually happened. They haven't even investigated yet.
Okay.
You can't you can't forgive before even there's
the future.
There's no legal case there at the
There's
moment.
always that Tom Cruise
So
movie.
it's a very funny way of doing it because it's like, yeah, my kids are criminals, but I'm going to forgive them, but I can't tell you what the crime is. It's a very
Until you guys work it out. So
Yeah.
it's like Minority Report, that Tom Cruise movie, where
Well, actually, you know what he can do? He
Okay.
can step down, and
That's enough.
was that one for Lata or was that one for Wajid?
That was for you for your Minority Report.
Mate, okay.
Just leave that out.
No comment.
All right. Yeah, you were saying, Lata?
yeah. So I think what he can do is before he gets impeached, so the amount of days that he's got left, stand down and let his vice president basically take over, and then pardon him.
Yeah,
so
but I don't, no,
corrupt.
Pence
It's
is not
so
on his
corrupt.
side anymore.
It's
Yeah.
so corrupt.
So Pence is not on his side anymore either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't think so,
and
yeah.
Republicans are leaving him in droves.
You know what they're trying to
It's
do?
a scary
'Cause
place to be.
Apparently, if they impeach twice, then he can't become president because he's already planning for 2024.
That's what they're doing.
That's what the
long game.
Republicans, Mitch McConnell, like he said, I think Senate Majority Leader or whatever he is, he said that, there's a case for impeachment because they want to get rid of him as well out of the Republican Party.
Well, not only them.
The problem is his sons, this whole train is not, this story is not over yet.
It's not going to stop.
And not just that, you've got Deutsche Bank as well now today. They want to end all relationships with him. He's borrowed over $300 million from them. So he's bought golf courses and buildings or whatever he's done. They want that money back. So what's happening is I think 2023 and 2024 that money was
He's going to be homeless by the end of
they're
this.
calling early. Bro, they're not going to leave him with anything. But
even the PGA, the golf, because he owns golf courses, they basically said that they took one of their tours or whatever from his golf course. They Scotland banned him from because he owns golf course there.
Yeah, he owns a golf course, and on top of that,
they banned him from coming into Scotland.
Yeah, but you know that Scottish golf course. The funny thing is, near that golf course, there was a town that had like this tiny little runway. So all of a sudden, when he bought that golf course, the runways was built bigger and stuff like that. And the reason was the revenue that came in was because he was flying there all the time as president. So he's actually just developed his runway around his golf course.
It's a good deal. Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. But again, they'll try and finish him. But one thing about Trump, he's Mr. Teflon. Yeah, he always finds a way out.
It looks like it's
but this looks like they're trying to just completely shut him down.
They can't. They won't.
Yeah.
70 million people.
He has his sons, as we said before.
It's so dumb. But anyway, he really is the ultimate con artist. Like he really got them. He sold them they drank the Kool-Aid, man, full on. You listen to them. You genuinely listen to his supporters. You know, you just watch them for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just sound nuts. They sound nuts.
Even not the that craziness even leaked into.
Did you see that one Trump guy in the airport? They had him down.
They had a few Trump guys in the airport.
Police. They had him down.
Yeah.
He goes, "I'm not a black person."
Come on.
Yeah. He goes, "I'm not a." He said another word, but he goes, "I'm not a black person." Like, why? Something along those lines.
Is that right?
Treating me like this,
Well, you have a look at the Capitol storming in itself when the Black Lives Matter protest was going on, and when this protest was going on. Look at the difference.
Yeah. The one girl, she was like 18 or 19, whatever. She said it. She was kicked out of her house by her parents for attending a Black Lives Matter march or whatever. Yeah. I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement is one thing and the organisation something. The organisation is really anti, like Muslims can't be part of that.
Yeah.
But the Black Lives Matter is because it's a real grassroots slogan that means something and it needs to be said. But the actual organisation that runs it, like when you read about it, you'll see that how un-Islamic and
it's a bit shady.
It's extreme left and anti, it's got all other weird things mixed into it as well.
The actual organisation.
Yeah, just go to their page, Black Lives Matter, and go to the About section, and you just read through that. There's like 30 things that are against Islam in there.
To be honest, I actually, well, I mean, this is another topic, and maybe we'll talk about it some other time. But I don't even think they actually believe that Black Lives Matter, because if they did, they'd be doing some other stuff as opposed to just advocating when a black person gets shot by cops. Yeah,
they're anti-family. There's a whole other thing. They're extremely anti-family.
Extremely shady.
But what I was going to say that this girl, her parents kicked her out of the house because she attended a thing, and she was told that
she attended what?
A Black Lives Matter protest.
Yep.
And then she was told there would be violence there, this and that. So her mum was in the Capitol storming. And there's a video of it where the African-American security guard punches her in the face.
Her mum?
Her mum, yeah. It's this white lady. And he goes, there's like blood just pouring out. And then the daughter sent like a tweet to her. Is this you? Is this you? You know, so it's... But, yeah, I mean, they were...
Look, I think...
It was all planned. You see police, even there's police letting them in.
Yeah.
They tell them, come. Like, they actually... ushered them in. There's actually police have been sacked and maybe arrested as well because it was organised. Like this was not just like a random thing just happened suddenly. It was organised.
It happened after Trump's rally. He
incited them. Yeah. But there's only a couple of thousand people. There's not a lot of people there.
Yeah, but that's what the action that it only took a couple of thousand people to storm the seat of democracy in the world. as you know, as what is being what
but
gets
see
sold.
the post that they went after the riot, they went like on social media bans and so forth. It feels very conveniently arranged, you know.
Yeah.
It seems.
Oh, you mean
Yeah.
from both sides? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, it looks very conveniently like they were
Are
like
you entering
they were-
conspiracy
no, they were
theory,
like
Lord of
sheep.
Shaykh Khalid?
They're almost like sheep that were led into, and then conveniently like
Lambs led to the slaughter, eh?
yeah, and then
You
they
guys are like, come to our side.
Trust no one. What is the X-Files thing? The truth is out there.
no, astaghfirullah. No, I'm not. I wouldn't
So,
go that
Shaykh
far.
Khalid, how do you feel about the COVID? Is it real or not?
We'll talk about that another time. It's real, man. It's real. It's definitely real.
Yeah, it's
We have
crazy.
family who died from it, so it's real.
Already here, bro.
Speaking of the craziness of the capital, some of that craziness leaked into Africa. I mean,
Leaked into Africa.
well,
Did they storm the buildings?
I wouldn't say it's directly related, but it's just funny how it happened round about the same time. So in Ghana, they also had to count votes for the next
Oh,
president.
no.
And as they were doing it, one of the politicians literally grabbed the ballots and tried to make a run for it.
For what?
Just with the ballots, so they wouldn't be counted.
I'm assuming he was on the losing side.
Yes, let's just say, yeah.
One of the, I think it was Kenya somewhere. Where was it? Kenya? That said they will send a delegation to mediate
Yeah, well,
between the opposing
I
parties.
actually-
I think they're just rubbing. They're enjoying. I think all these third world countries.
I actually read an article, about when all this was going on and written in Africa. It was, I think it was BBC Africa. It was quite interesting because they were like, potential despot is trying to keep power. However, civil unrest has got him up. They're writing the stories like the West would write about third world countries.
Yeah, the Kenya
And
one was
it makes perfect sense.
mediation team, maybe send forces in there, like African Union forces or something. So Turkey gave a message, for all the citizens in the United States to stay away from crowded places and from the capital, and try to come back to, gave travel warnings to Turks in America. But anyway, I think they're having some. They're probably enjoying it, All right, welcome to the club,
But it's scary. It's scary when you look at the effect.
I mean, we're laughing about it, but yeah, you're right.
It's actually
pretty hectic.
Pretty scary
Yeah.
when you think about it. So this is the man that has got his finger on the button, so to speak. He's the guy that controls whether we launch that nuke or not.
Well,
not we or America does.
Pelosi sent a
Not for
message
long.
to the to the Pentagon, basically.
Don't listen to him.
Yeah, don't listen to him. Yeah,
Can they do that though? I mean, he's still president until January 20th, right?
Bro, if you're a
another
general
week.
and Trump gives you an order,
Yeah, I'm just going to be like, yeah, all right, cool. I'll see you January
next week,
21st.
I'm away next
Like,
week. I'm
make sure
going
he-
bush.
Yeah.
they want to make sure he doesn't start any war.
Well,
within,
exactly.
within this week.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good
Allah help
point.
us.
Yeah.
But I don't
Anyway.
I don't think Trump is a
What do
guy
you think
that
about
will
that?
start wars.
He hasn't.
He's the guy that's ending wars.
Yeah, let's see. This week, we've got another week. Let's
That's
see what happens.
I think the whole world is holding their breath till this week's over.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what Putin's been saying? I've got no idea. It'd be interesting to hear
He's just laughing.
his
I
take on
think.
things.
Who?
Putin.
Yeah, he's quiet, just quietly watching with
Yeah,
popcorn.
he lost his man. That's a conspiracy theory. Anyway.
Like
right.
I said.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. We have a problem. Somebody parked the car in the driveway of the neighbor. Please remove the car immediately. Your salah will not be accepted. So please remove the car.
We come to that time of the evening again when we talk about our special Who's Blocking the Driveway this week.
Slow drivers.
Those people, who's blocking the driveway? Those people
Slow
that
drivers.
drain our life and just make it a little bit harder. And this time it's a little bit harder to travel just safely down your own lane. What are we talking about? Slow drivers. Driving at 60, 70, 80 in a 100 zone, or driving at 20 in a 40 zone. We have that. The frustration that builds on the 30,000 plus cars that are behind you.
Yeah.
Plus guys trying to overtake you, and the danger that causes for traffic.
Isn't
And
there a law against driving 15 kilometers under the speed limit?
I've got
Yeah,
no idea.
There is actually, I'm
There is a law.
sure
Is
it's
there?
like a safety
there is.
law. Yeah, you can't drive.
You can't
15
drive too slow. You can't drive.
Right.
Yeah, there's
too
15
fast,
kilometers. I think you can't drive slower than that on like a 100 zone. Like
Okay, today.
so not just 100 zone in any speed limit. Like you can't drive 15 under the speed limit because you're becoming a obstacle on the road.
You're a hazard.
And
Today,
the most
coming back on the M1,
Yep.
where going down the road, I'm in so the M1's got like 4 lanes, sometimes 5 lanes. So I'm in not the far right lane, the next one over.
You're not talking about me, are you?
No. You are not a slow driver, right? So I'm in there and there's a car in front of us and every single person's trying to overtake this person. So finally I get an opening, I go past. It's 80 zone. She's doing 55, 60, if that, right? We got trucks. We've got everybody trying to overtake this. This bank of traffic is building up at the back and you can see on the faces of every single driver, they're losing it.
Yeah.
What do we do about that? What is the Islamic position on that one, Shaykh Khalid?
There's no Islamic position.
Traffic jihad.
Sabr is
Traffic jihad.
sabr is the order of the day. I mean, once I was driving with a brother, and this guy's driving like 40 in a 60 zone. It's raining, and I said to the brother, "This person's. I bet you he's from a certain nationality." And astaghfirullah azim. This is like 20 years ago nearly. And so we drove past him, opened the window, had a look, and it was that nationality, and we had a good laugh. And then we went, and for a couple of minutes, like kilometers, we were ahead of this person, and came back from work, and then police pull us over.
Oh.
We weren't speeding or anything like that. One of the brake lights was working. So he pulled us over, your brake light's not working. And then while he's talking to us, we see behind the guy, the policeman, that guy at 40 kilometers an hour just drives past us.
I see. I would have pointed at the guy. Go, what about him?
Yeah, no.
What are you doing about him?
He was driving carefully. So I think it's usually old people.
I'm not talking about rain.
It's certain nationalities that are not used to driving fast in their country. Maybe when they come here, they don't know how to drive faster because maybe they're in crowded countries.
Yes, 100%.
So when they come here, the Australian roads are faster. I think they're generally faster.
Yeah.
I think if they're probably in Europe, they probably do well in small crowded places like the traffic.
Europe's got the autobahn. Germany's got the autobahn.
Yeah, but that's an exception. But if you go into like towns, there's town squares, and probably the traffic is slow. Australian roads are faster. People do. They're used to driving fast.
So are you saying slow drivers are not blocking the driveway then? Tonight we've had
annoying.
from...
They are
you heard
annoying.
it here first, folks.
Annoying.
Sheikh Khalid has gone conspiracy
people,
theorist, and on top of that, slow drivers are okay.
No. They are annoying, but we have to be more... They're not fully blocking the driveway. They're not being considerate. They just can't be...
I'm not talking about those guys in the rain.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about those guys where if there's danger. I'm not talking about old people. That's fair, right? But I've met some hoons as well that are older, much older.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not talking about these people. I'm talking about someone that has absolutely, visibly no reason to be doing 10 kilometers an hour in 110 zone. Not that I've come across that yet. However, so to drive so slow that it frustrates everyone and annoys the crap out of everyone, and then makes the husband and wife fight.
Some people can be selfish and not be considerate of others on the road. I think that's definitely blocking the driveway. That comes in that category.
What do you think?
I mean, like people that come up to the red light and slow down 50 meters before the red light and keep just rolling slowly until they come to the light.
The reasoning behind that one,
that's more annoying to me.
So I know somebody like that. The reasoning behind that is that you don't wear the brake pads out, and they last longer.
No, how does that even work?
Is that the same? Okay, so what annoys me is, when you're coming up to a turn and you want to turn, some people
they take the whole lane.
Not just that, but they come to such a slow speed. That you're like. Why do you need to travel that slow? Are you, can you not turn your steering wheel? I don't know. Just, it's a 60 zone, and then they slow down till about 10 kilometers or maybe
maybe people
5Ks just to turn.
Some people coming from overseas, especially, they from certain backgrounds, and they're not used. They'll probably learn how to drive in Australia. Maybe they didn't know how to drive. They learn.
Mashallah, Husna Zan is coming strong from you. I can feel it.
They learn how to drive, and they should never have got their license. And they should,
here we go.
Yeah, they should never have got. So, but like, please be considerate of others when you're on the road. Drive at the speed limit.
Yeah, we're not saying speed. And I'm not even saying
drive,
go even 1 kilometer. Drive 2 Ks under the speed limit. I get it. But 10 Ks, 15 Ks.
Even 5 is understandable.
5?
Yeah, like 5 Ks under, because the speed limit. The speed limit isn't.
Australia.
Look, with the road rules, the speed limit doesn't mean you travel at this speed and that's it. It just means this is the limit at what you can drive, and then below that, it's okay up to a certain amount.
I heard 15 was the 15 kilometers. I have to check.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but yes,
let's call it a night, inshallah.
All right.
Call it a day,
Thank
call
you
it
for
a week.
joining.
inshallah.
Thank you for joining. Please subscribe, like, and press the bell icon. Also, do comment and provide feedback on anything in the comment section. Slow drivers, we're waiting to hear from you. Good
Assalamu
night.
alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.